My dad had ordered all 32 hats, and he had them in his closet, so he brought out a Chiefs hat.
Does he still have those, by the way?
No, he returned. He returns 30 of them.
Okay, all right.
My brother took the Bears hat, I got the Chiefs hat, and they returned the rest of them.
This is the Gies Download, a podcast from the University of Illinois' Gies College of Business. I'm your host, Tim Sinclair, and today's guest is Nick Allegretti, a 2019 Gies graduate, former Illinois football offensive lineman, and current member of the Kansas City Chiefs. It shouldn't be surprising that an accounting major would also be a coin collector. Ironic, perhaps, but not surprising. The surprise comes when that accounting major and coin collector is also a 20-something Super Bowl winning offensive lineman. But talk to Nick Allegretti for a few minutes, and it all starts to make perfect sense.
My mom graduated from University of Illinois College of Business, and my father graduated with an accounting degree from Butler University. So the accounting was kind of in the blood, and then my brother, who I was actually on campus with for 3 years, only one brother, he's a couple years older than me, and he graduated with a bachelor's and a master's in accounting from the University of Illinois. So definitely an accounting background. It was in my blood. It's what I knew. Grew up. Was kind of my only plan. I knew of other options, but had seen my parents do it well, and it led to a very great upbringing for myself. So, it was kind of my plan, was to become a public accountant, go to the University of Illinois, and obviously some things changed, but really that's why I ended up committing to the University of Illinois. My brother was there, and it had the program that I wanted. It had the path that I wanted. So football was just a bonus, to the fact that I got to get the degree that was going to help me throughout my life, and my brother was there. So Illinois was always kind of in the cards for me. Maybe not have known it the whole time, but yeah, it was definitely an easy decision.
And while Nick's business acumen seemed to come naturally and comfortably, it didn't always feel that way on the football field.
I think I've gotten a lot better with the nerves in terms of game day. I used to, for lack of better terms, used to throw up before every game in college. Couldn't just nerves got to me. The fans got to me. The television got to me.
While some athletes choose to listen to music or meditate before running onto the field, I asked Nick about his own rather unique game day ritual. One that involves, are you ready? A Rubik's Cube.
My sophomore year of high school, I guess, one of my friends one of my teammates. I was sitting there playing with a Rubik's Cube, and nobody played with Rubik's Cubes, or I hadn't seen much. And he's sitting there playing with it, and they solved it. And I was like, no way. I was like, you can solve a Rubik's Cube? He's like, yeah, it's actually not that hard. And this guy was an intelligent guy. He's a doctor now. But I was blown away. I was like, you can actually solve these things? I thought it was like a myth. I thought this thing your parents bought you, you mixed it up one time, and then it was unsolved for the rest of your life.
Just to keep you busy for a few hours?
Yeah, so I went home, and I got a Rubik's Cube, and probably didn't pay attention much in class for the next couple of weeks until I figured it out. But I did figure it out, and then I've got a little bit of, an OCD nature to me, and it kind of became a thing that I still travel with it, and it calms me down, kind of seeing the mixed up cube and then the kind of pleasantness of finishing a cube. So, I solve Rubik's Cube multiple times before every game.
How long does it take you now? How quickly can you solve one?
At one point I was like I would time myself like daily. I got down to 40-ish seconds. But now, usually a minute and a half, because it's kind of just muscle memory at this point. I don't actually remember the algorithms anymore.
Is it really just math? Is that sort of
it's a series of patterns. Knowing when to do the patterns. There's the white cross, then the white side, then the white layer, then you work for the second layer, and then I do the yellow side after that, yellow cross, yellow corners, and then orient put the middles together, and that's it. It's just.
It sounds so simple.
Yeah, I know it seems crazy, but there's not many. I feel like it's the patience and determination to finish it, that's all you need.
But during Nick's college career at Illinois, there was another game day tradition that was far more sentimental.
My pops, every time we love the Illini walk, and that's something that we're still, Grange Grove has made it even better. We're getting better with that and continuing to grow that. But my pops would always wait down towards the end of the walk and would just give me a coin before every game. Some of them were commemorative coins, or sometimes my brother would give me wheat pennies that he would find. They just they understood that I'm a sentimental guy, and just getting something, a small token, nothing that was anything crazy expensive or anything like that, but getting something, a coin like that, was calming, it was relaxing. I loved them, and I got to keep them with me all the time at college. Now they're back home in my safe, so that was just cool for me because it made that game day such a special part of every year.
Why coins, and why not, sports cards or, classic cars? What is it about coins that drew you there?
It's in my blood, not the coin thing, but the collection aspect. My dad is a collector. He's more sports memorabilia and sports cards. But I got that bug bad. So growing up, I was a collector, whether it was bobbleheads or bouncy balls or little crazy bones, sports cards. I just collected. If I got into something, I dove in head first. Loved it. For some reason, I like collecting things. Some people may call it hoarding. I don't think so. My new wife is working on me because I have a struggle getting rid of some things. But the coins, I'm not sure exactly why it's coins. I know that I love history, and that there's a ton of history in every coin. There's a ton to learn about every coin, and there's so many different denominations and varieties of each denomination. And I mean, some coins lasted for 50 years, 10 years. There's just so much change that, I mean, I've been collecting for 14 years now, and there's still so much more that I can learn. So it's kind of like it's an endless hobby. I don't think you can't complete this collection.
Blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah. So I love it. I mean, it may have a little bit of the aspect. When you first start collecting, you're not really collecting graded coins. You're kind of collecting the raw, kind of beat up coins. So as a kid, I was 12 or 13, getting to actually handle coins. That there's weight to them, and you get to feel a 150-year-old coin or 200-year-old coin. I think that kind of was surreal to me to think, like, man, this coin was made. I remember I bought a coin. It was in the worst condition possible, but you could see 1799 on it. And just seeing the date was like, man, this coin was minted in the 1700s. I mean, just a decade after the Revolutionary War ended, like before the War of 1812. Like the history, like when I'm thinking about my history classes, I'm like, this was the currency. So, I mean, I nerd out over all that stuff.
Do you have a prize coin, like one that's your absolute favorite?
Yeah, it's my 1893 S. So it's an 1893 year. S is for San Francisco, where it was minted. And it's a $1 silver coin. It's called the Morgan dollar. It is the lowest mintage of the series. And I actually got it kind of as a graduation present from my parents. But I got it actually down in Champaign, my coin store there, especially Stamp and Coin. Mark Cortez, been there for a while now since he bought the store, but was kind of one of my escapes from school, football. When I would get busy, I would just go over there, get away. And he looked for a couple months for me, trying to track down the right coin for me. And yeah, that's one of those coins that it was special to me because of why it was given to me for graduation and my parents giving it to me and Mark searching for it for so long. So that's one of these coins that I don't plan on selling. A lot of my coins I have done some buying and trading, but that coin will never leave the collection.
Do you have a separate safe for the Super Bowl ring, or does it go in the same safe with the coins?
At the moment, same safe. maybe doing something with it in the future when, we're looking to buy a home soon.
Not trying to case your house or anything, by the way. I'm just curious.
No, you're good. It's stacked away pretty well, and I haven't worn it out a bunch. I mean, we got it in the middle of COVID, and then really haven't had a ton of events, but did wear it at the reception for my wedding. It's probably the longest I've worn it, but pretty cool. I mean, there's guys that play a long time and never get the opportunity to play in that game, let alone win it.
Before we talked about the Super Bowl, though, we had to go back to the few days just before Nick's NFL career officially began. What were your expectations going into the draft versus the reality of what happened? Were you elated to have been drafted? Were you sitting there staring at the screen going, come on, what's the problem? Where were you during that process?
The draft process was probably one of the hardest periods of my life, because in the business that I'm in, there's a ton of unknown, but the draft process is like the epitome of unknown. I had heard throughout the process, some teams were like, we're not going to draft you. If you don't go drafted, we'll take you as an undrafted free agent. Some teams told me 7th, 6th, 7th round. I heard as high as 4th round. The good thing is I knew that I wasn't a first or second day guy. I knew I was a third day guy. So that was a little comforting. As the first 2 days, I'd watch the draft for whatever, but it didn't really matter. I knew I wasn't getting drafted those first 2 days. So then the third day hit, and what was really nice is my agent set up a pretty good system for me. So we kind of went through all of the teams based on interest level that I had seen, whether they had, come to visit me or I had visited them, or how many calls I had, who the calls were with. So kind of a pretty in-depth analysis of their interest. Then analyzed their depth charts and schemes, and kind of came up with a top 5 and top 10 list for the best fits for myself. Because when you go into that third day, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, they fly. I mean,
right.
It's no more 10-minute per pick. It's boom, 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 boom. So I wake up Saturday morning and I get a call from my agent, and the Philadelphia Eagles had already offered me a contract because they did not have a late round draft pick, where they had to be as a 6th or 7th round guy, but their last pick was in the 5th. So they told me, like, listen, if you don't get drafted, we want to sign you. We had already worked out signing bonus numbers guaranteed, and that was my number one fit. So, I mean, by 9 a.m. Friday, before the draft had even restarted, if I went undrafted, I was going to Philly. So it was kind of nice to at least half know what was going on.
Sure.
But then, 4th round, nothing, not a whole lot of calls. 5th round calls started to pick up. And then we sat there. It was just me, my fiance, was my girlfriend at the time, but me, my wife, my brother, my sister-in-law, and my parents. And we sat there. We did a puzzle to kind of distract us. And then every once in a while, I'd get a call from a team, have to go talk with them. And then after middle of the 6th round, the puzzle was over. So then we're kind of just sitting there watching draft picks, which is what we didn't want to do, but it happens. And I start getting calls from all these teams, and are they about to draft me, or are they trying to take me as undrafted free agent? So my phone's ringing a lot. And then my agent shot me a text, said, like, hey, watch the Chiefs picks in these last couple rounds. And they had the last pick of the 6th round and then the second pick of the 7th. And I get a call from the Chiefs right around then. The GM, Brett Veach, gets on the phone and is like, hey, what's it feel like to be blocking for Patrick Mahomes? And I was like, what does that mean? So I'm not I don't make assumptions. I'm not that guy. I need you to tell me that I was just drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. Right. Nobody told me that. So I was like, I would be incredible. Like, and I talked to him, and then he hands the phone to Coach Reed, and then Coach Reed hands the phone to Coach Heck, our offensive line coach. And then I hang the phone up, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened. I called my agent.
You still didn't know after the call that you'd been drafted? They didn't really specify?
I had no clue, so I called my agent. I'm like, hey, did I just get drafted? And he knew, but he didn't want to say anything because the pick was about to go in. He's like, yeah, he goes, I don't know. He goes, hang up the phone in case they call you back. Just watch your TV for a sec. So I hang up the phone with my agent, and like I'm walking down from my dad's office. My whole family's staring at me from the family room. They're like, you get drafted? I was like, I don't know. And then it just says like pick in. So we stare until because it'll say pick in for a little bit. And it finally pops up, guard Nick Allegretti. And honestly, I mean, one of the coolest, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, one of the coolest moments of my life. And because I would have signed an undrafted free agent contract after that had I not gotten drafted. But to say you've been drafted is still pretty cool. It was one of the coolest days of my life. My brother, my wife, my sister-in-law, they all ran over to me, gave me hugs. And my parents did like the jump, like the hug where you jump in a circle. And I had never actually seen that in real life. I had no clue.
It's only in movies.
Yeah. I had no clue people actually did that. My dad had ordered all 32 hats. And he had them in his closet, so he brought out a Chiefs hat.
Does he still have those, by the way?
No, he returned.
The
he
31
returned
other
30
ones?
of them.
Oh, okay, all right.
My brother took the Bears hat, I got the Chiefs hat, and they returned the rest of them.
I contrast that then with whatever year and a half later winning the Super Bowl. I'm sure they're two different types of feeling, but that out-of-body experience, elation, I would imagine may be somewhat similar.
And it's similar to me. Like, I mean, I guess everyone has this. When you think of moments, like you don't think of like a video doesn't flash in my head, just like a picture does. For me, it was like I turned around, I looked up, I knew where my parents and my wife were sitting, and I saw them, like, put my hands in the air to them, and like then the confetti started falling, and like that's kind of the picture I have in my head. And honestly, it definitely wasn't like the most fun part, but the most interesting / coolest thing to me was the confetti. I was like, I don't know if many people have ever been showered with confetti. And I was like, that's pretty cool. It just felt like a childhood dream to be standing there, like when the Lombardi's walking out with confetti falling, like the picture that's always on Sports Illustrated, like to be standing in that was wild to me.
To my knowledge, when tax season is over, they don't shower accountants with confetti. So
no, I don't think the 415 parties have confetti. So,
however, you know what? At post football, you should totally start that trend.
Yeah, I think people would be a huge fan. People are about as excited. They're about as excited for tax season then as winning the Super Bowl, from what I've seen. So,
do you have looking back at your Illini career? I would imagine I could guess the one in your professional career, but as an Illini, do you have a favorite game or a favorite moment?
Yeah, the moment that sticks out to me, and it's actually we lost the game because there's plenty of moments that stick out to me, but the North Carolina game, my redshirt sophomore year, so my third season there, first year under Coach Smith, I think it was the second or third game of the season. Sold out the stadium. It was a full orange out. I mean, night game, the whole nine. The stadium looked incredible. And I think like the third play of the game, Keyshawn Vaughn took a run like 78 yards, scored a touchdown. The place erupted, and it ended up going downhill from then. But like that moment showed me like where we were trying to bring that program, where Illinois program had been in the past. It showed me the fans, the fan base, and it is a special place, and we can get it back to a special place, and I think they're doing a really good job with that right now. But that was kind of like as a kid growing up, that image is what you think of, and then that image is kind of locked in my head.
For whatever reason, dreaming as a kid and dreaming as an adult are different. It's far scarier sometimes once you have a list of responsibilities and expectations in front of you. And that was true for Nick Allegretti, too, until
I met with Larry Gies a couple months ago, and I mean, what an incredible guy just to sit in the room with and speak with. And I tried to take as much as I could from that conversation, But the best thing that I took from that conversation is I'm a dreamer, obviously. The only way you make it to the NFL is if you dream of it when you're a kid, and then as it progresses, you turn it into a goal and you go from there. And it was almost like a movie moment when he told me to keep dreaming. So I don't know what my next dream is, but football is going to end, sooner or later. It comes to an end for everybody, and there's a lot of life left to live after that. And I don't know if it's going to be, a charitable organization or going to get my MBA and working from there, if not both, and / a coin store. I don't really know, but that really helped me because my whole life I've dreamed of playing in the NFL. I've had other dreams, but to know that when football ends, I can still continue to dream, whether it's just to create and, raise a family with my wife, whatever it is, that was super comforting to me to know that I'm just going to continue to dream of having success in whatever my next thing is. I don't know what it will be. It'll probably be somewhere in the business world because I loved watching my pops grow up in the public accounting world, now in the private equity world, and that's a dream of mine for sure. So I think that'll probably be my angle, but I'm excited for my post-football life whenever that happens. Going to enjoy this life for sure right now, but I'm excited that dreaming doesn't have to stop.
Why has it been important for you and for your mom and dad to give back to the school, both the athletic program and Gies College of Business?
I feel like it's got a lot to do. One, how much it impacted our family, starting from my mom to my brother and myself, both athletically and academically. I mean, academically, really, the Gies College of Business has turned my brother and myself into the professionals that we are. And as parents growing up, I mean, they wanted that was their goals, to turn us into hardworking professionals. We've taken different paths, but I mean, I'm gonna most likely be on the same path as my brother soon. But the interactions, the networking events, the professors, your fellow students, just the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, were just so impactful on my brother and I that we tried to give back while we were there. We're going to continue to give back as we, go on. But I think the university, just those 5 years that my brother and I each spent there, changed us and prepared us so well for the real world that I don't think my parents will ever stop giving back to them, because we were, their main priority as parents and still are. And the University of Illinois helped them to complete their job of raising us, And I can't be more appreciative to the College of Business for, the business fraternity that I was in there, for the accounting classes that I took, for the professors that I got to deal with on a daily basis that really impacted me to the point where, I still do. I enjoyed accounting. That's not a sentence a lot of people can say, but when you're going through classes at Illinois, you can, because they make them, you're engaged in the classes. They make them enjoyable. So just an incredible university, and, could not be happier to be, involved and a part of it.
And maybe one day, after the NFL, Nick really will bring that Super Bowl confetti into his accounting firm on tax day. Something tells me he will, along with his Rubik's Cube. Be sure to join us for the next Gies Download. In the meantime, you can learn more about Gies College of Business at giesbusiness.illinois.edu.